move a muscle. I just felt it happen. It felt as though I had half of a sarcophagus that was filled with boiling liquid, pressurized boiling liquid, moving slowly up my body.
Oh, good
When it
heavens.
got to just below my rib cage is when I had my moment of panic, because I thought at that point, I'm being taken. This is how they do it. And they think I'm asleep. And so I immediately propped myself up. And believe me, that series of thoughts happened in a fraction of a second. I mean, I just had a moment of adrenaline shoot through me, like, what is going on here? And I propped myself up in the bed on my left elbow. The instant that I moved, it stopped its progression and then slowly began at precisely the same rate of speed, slowly moving down my body, retreating, as it were, retracting whatever it was. And when it went off the bottom of my feet, whatever heavy, heavy thing had been laid on the corner of the bed was lifted up. Well, at the point that I lifted up, I turned immediately and looked down on my body because I thought for sure there had to be something on me.
Right?
And there was nothing, and I could see because I had the television on, so I had the light from that. I always keep light on in my room at night. I never sleep in pitch blackness, ever. And so I was a little surprised that there was nothing on me. And when it got to the very bottom of the bed, the mattress returned to its normal height. And for a moment, Kat, I just kind of stayed in the position that I was. Like, you know, I'm still listening to the interview. It's going on in the background, and I'm thinking, did this actually just happen? Did this just happen? And then I had a wave hit me. It was fatigue that was debilitating. And I laid my head back down on the pillow, and I don't remember anything after that. And I woke up at the crack of noon the next day.
Oh,
My
my.
father was very, very concerned, kept coming to my door, knocking on my door. There was no response. Um, he was concerned, and he didn't want to intrude on, my room and my privacy and my wing of the house, but he was concerned. And when I woke up, instead of rolling out of bed, which I had done for weeks and weeks after a very severe low back injury that I sustained while I was in Georgia, um, I I just sat up and stepped out of bed and stood up and felt like I was 10 feet tall.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
there was zero pain in my body. I hadn't been able to stand up straight in probably 6 weeks. The
That's
only way that I could even walk semi normally was with a fistful of Motrin in me. It was a very, very severe lower lumbar sprain
hmm
that was simply not healing properly. And I was in so much pain that I wouldn't even go to a chiropractor. I did not want to be touched. I did not. And I hopped up out of bed and I was like, oh, Mother of God, oh my God. And walked into the kitchen, and my father's like, oh, I was really concerned. And then he turns and he looks at me and he's like, what happened to you? And I said, he said, you're so tall. And he measured me, and I was back to like 5'9 3/4, my fullest adult height, which I had lost almost 3/4 of an inch of over the course of my lifetime, just from gravity, who's no
right.
friend of mine. I don't know about you, but
No,
gravity is
not
no
so
friend of.
much.
And my height had been restored. My hips were completely aligned. All the swelling that was occurring in my left knee was completely gone. all the pain, the swelling, and the popping sound that was happening in my left ankle, that was gone. Um, and the pain that I had been having in my right shoulder and into my neck, into the vertebrae area on the right hand side, that was gone. I stood there having a virtually, it was an epiphany. It was like a religious experience. Honestly, it was absolutely amazing to me. After suffering and suffering for as long as I had gone up right after the anniversary of my sister's death. I had come back from an event and just immediately got off the plane, unpacked, repacked, and left for Georgia so that I could be with my mother on the 1 year anniversary of my sister's passing. And I missed it by a day, but I was there for the anniversary of her funeral. And I don't know why these things are important to us, but they are. And I knew that it was important to my mother, and she would need my support, and I needed to be there. So I went, and I stayed for about 7 weeks because Georgia had a really bad winter last year, and the property had been decimated. There were many limbs down. There was just so much work to do, the cleanup, the debris. My mom's 78. She'll be 79 on Friday. And my sister Christine broke her leg last year, and she can't do anything. So it was me. And I spent weeks working in the yard every day, cleaning up 2 acres of land, which doesn't sound big, according to the number. But once
It's
you're out
big.
on 2 acres
Yes.
of land, that it's a pretty sizable lot. Uh, and, many, many trees on the property. And so it's really more like a park than anything. And so it was an extraordinary amount of work, backbreaking. And it literally, I thought it broke my back. So when this happened to me, there really are no words to express the depth of my gratitude for whatever it was that happened to me. But after it happened, not only could I not stop thinking about it, but I was getting a lot of downloads. I was getting a lot of messages. I was getting many, many more sightings than usual. And that's saying something, because I can easily have 20, 30 sightings a day. It just depends on, how often I go out. Sometimes I don't even have to go out. I'll have sightings right through my own computer screen. They have infiltrated all my technology. They have, they fried the motherboard in my phone a few months ago. I had to go get a new phone. I told them my attitude is, if you're smart enough to break it, then you should be able to be smart enough to fix it. And I don't
Absolutely.
want to have to go spend another $600. But I ended up getting an entirely different kind of phone that takes pictures of them with incredible ease, day or night, unlike the camera that I did have. So I guess there was purpose and reason for that too. Um,
There always
and
is, right?
yeah,
I
and
mean, they don't do
I'm very
anything by
grateful.
accident.
Yeah, I am. I'm very grateful and deeply moved, touched by their concern, their consideration for me, and their willingness to. And I think that they had an oops moment. I think they thought that I was asleep, and then when it retracted from me, they made sure I was asleep
Right.
for whatever they were doing. But I just, I had that little moment of panic. As much as I'm familiar with them, as much as I love and trust them, I didn't want whatever was moving up my body to cover my head. And I think that's a normal human reaction. I just,
Absolutely.
wanted to be able to, I didn't want to have an abyss moment, where I'm gasping some hot fluid into my lungs and then can suddenly, figure out that I can breathe that too. I just didn't want the trauma of that. And so I stopped it. And I know this is, I'm not stupid. I know this is really hard for some people to process. This is information that is literally out of this world. It's difficult to believe. In fact, you have to suspend your disbelief in order to listen to it with an open mind. This is my life. I have had numerous experiences throughout my life, many different encounters with many different races. Uh, and I still don't even know everybody that I'm talking with or singing to or teaching people to see. I don't even know who they are. But I know that I love them. I feel a higher love for them. I feel a love for them that I don't feel for anyone on earth, including my own family, who I cherish and adore as much as I'm capable of feeling anything for any being. And yet, what I feel for them, for who I also perceive to be my family,
Yes.
is cosmic love. It's source energy. It's divine in nature, and I use that word hesitantly because I don't want to imply that I'm some overzealous or zealot religious fanatic and they're my religion. That's not the case at all. I think that they're magical, but with the qualifier being that magic is science we don't understand yet.
Yes, it is. And we are so shocked and awed when we see these things. But every area, no matter where they're from, no matter what galaxy, how far out of, if it's another universe, whatever it is, they're still created beings.
Yeah.
And so I think that probably the divine is not a misspoken opinion about them. I think they may be, but they're still created beings.
Mm-hmm.
I've been spending a lot of time with astronomers that are all into these exoplanets and with physicists who are working on propulsion systems and all this, that, and the other. And, they're, it's just a matter of which technology do you already have. We've got about 30 seconds before our next break, but it's about where your advancement is, don't you think?
Yes, I agree. And we're all at different levels. We're all at different places on the continuum, in terms of our own spiritual evolution. And there's no judgment in that. Everybody is different. Everybody's unique and special. So it's not a matter of comparative analysis. It's a matter of reaching out and sharing the experience and helping someone along who might need that support through a difficult time. One of the things I discussed at length in the book were all the different symptoms of spiritual ascension, the physical manifestations of it. This is no easy feat for any
No.
of us. And I've been well into it since like 2012 is when it hit me like a brick. So I just try to comfort people and make them feel accepted and believed. That's the most important. That's the greatest kindness that you can extend to someone. And one time
Yeah.
only, I got burned, really burned. Somebody just lied and lied and lied
Oh
through their
my
teeth.
word.
And when it all came out, my followers that knew about it, their heads blew off their shoulders. I mean, this particular individual was persona non grata.
I
Um,
bet.
and I never ever ever retaliated in any way around it. I just think that then that just uh, that kind of energy serves no purpose at all.
No.
For somebody to be that desperate for attention that they would make up a story the way that they did. I guess maybe to see if I would buy it, if I was that gullible. I don't know what the intentions were behind it. I think it was just more a desperate cry for attention than anything.
Probably.
But literally, out of the thousands of people that I have interacted with and I have met, that was one time that someone was disingenuous with me. That's not going to change me, Kat. I will still be open armed and open hearted And I believe somebody and I trust them until they give me